What is the creepiest thing to happen in the history of Reddit? The one where some guy was playing a game upstairs with noise-cancelling headphones on, then took them off and heard someone threatening his wife. Turns out the guy was raping his wife downstairs while his daughter was sat crying on the floor while he was upstairs playing video games. Creepy as fuck. Late to the party and not sure if someone has already commented this, but the girl who did an AMA about breastfeeding even though she was in her teens, only for Redditors to find out that it wasn't breastfeeding but rather her mum just getting her to suck on her nipples every night before bed. A Reddit user: I didn't know, me my address and a pic of my house. It was an image off a realtor website. After an argument over anime lamau, I made a new Reddit account after that. I love how you can just laugh about that. How about that story on r/relationships a few months ago about the boyfriend who purposefully burned his girlfriend's dead sister's possessions because he could only be attracted to her when she was depressed? That made me want to vom. The guy who did an AMA cause he was smashing his mom when he was younger. What makes it really creepy was that the dad was accepting of it. As much as Reddit jokes about it, it really is fucked up. The creepiest part is how the guy talks about it so clinically, with almost no emotion. He's probably repressed and purged every feeling about it, instead of acknowledging that his mother molested him and dealing with that. Either way, his mother is definitely a pedophile. At one point, he says the sex began to slow down and then stopped completely when he left for college, and there wasn't an event that ended it. I'm willing to bet that was because he grew up out of her ideal age group, and she was no longer attracted to him. Which comes to the most fucked up part I've noticed. He says his sister did not know about it, and she left for college shortly after it began. Says the sex slowed down before he left for college. I'd bet a lot of money that his mother also molested his sister, and then moved on to him when his sister got too old. I'm not able to find the link as I'm not savvy enough, but there was this guy who has a legit Reddit account who was a major stalker on Reddit. Flash forward in time to another subreddit post, I think also about creepy things that happen on Reddit, and he comments on that post to defend himself. Update: Basalt Assault found it. People stalking people on here. I don't mean following someone's posts, I mean finding out about people's lives and shit. I usually delete my accounts after a year. Greater than 1 year, 2 months and 8 days. Story about guy hear a strange whistle noise from the lake since he was kid, he even recorded it and put it on YouTube. Watched that video and got goosebumps, quite unsettling and strange. Edit, fix some grammar. The AskReddit thread was creepy. That one guy who befriended a girl, convinced her that her boyfriend was cheating, drove the boyfriend out of her life, and was there to comfort her through it all, only to end up marrying her. Colby 2012. Never forget. TBH? Coming back to Reddit after a few months trying to get my head straight, only to see post after post of folks supporting Trump. What in the ever-living fuck happened? It's like Bizarro universe in here. I keep expecting to run into my evil twin and shit. Imho, it was the absolute overflow of Bernie posts that pushed the pendulum just a bit too far left. When it swung back, it swung hard. Really, if Reddit hadn't gone full Bernie, I don't think the Trumpsters would have such an anchor in the community. I can't find the link, but the story about the Redditor who was hit by a football player on campus and then lived a whole life, like 30 years, in a coma, which he thought was reality. Then one day he noticed something off about a lamp, and became obsessed with it, finally realizing that the lamp was not real and he was in a coma. Guy did a makeshift AMA somewhere. Incredible story. The whole Boston bombing witch hunt. All of the comments on /r/Gonwild. Damn you CB. Do you take requests? I have a postage fetish, could you like hold up a piece of mail for me and post it? Struggling to find it, but I remember reading about a girl who lived on her own in a flat. She bent down to tie her shoe and noticed a guy laying in the dark under her bed. She pretended not to see and went to the bathroom, turned on the shower or something, locked the door, climbed out the window and called the police, who busted in and found the dude standing outside the bathroom door waiting for her to come out with a knife. Always creeps me out. There was one post where the girl met a guy on a Tinder date and got in his car, and then the guy started driving her way out of town without saying a word. Even when she asked him where they were going, he didn't respond. Then she finally told him she was going to call the police if he didn't take her back. And he just turned around and took her back where they had met, and she got out. She seemed pretty certain he was going to murder her that night. I still think about that sometimes. Once my brother told me the story about this girl, friend of his fiancée, who met a guy on a club. She told the guy was nice and she was going to spend the night with him. During the ride, the guy stopped the car and told her he was going to take a piss, and so she stood there waiting. However, half an hour passed and the guy wasn't coming back, so the girl called the police, told about the situation and waited until the cops were there. The cops came, start looking for the guy and found him digging a hole. The guy was arrested right there. /r/Carl programming, one of those just generally popular, helpful and likable internet community people. Indicted for rape/torture of his son and later found hanged in prison. Just being reasonably close to a person like that is creepy. There was one AMA by a female stalker who'd creep on other women, got caught multiple times, and avoided consequences with crying and sob stories. None of her actions seemed particularly awful, but the whole premeditation and manipulation when being confronted, that was some freaky shit. What about the dude who raped and murdered his GF, took pics, posted on Reddit, then ran outside and got busted by the cops? That was pretty creepy. 14 I think, Washington State. That was 4chan, and the guy left the scene. They found him some miles away. Somebody not long ago told a story about watching TV with his dad, and while they were watching, out of nowhere his dad jumped across the room and unplugged the TV or turned it off or something to the like. And then maybe a few seconds later, the power went out. And then he talked about meeting a war buddy of his from Vietnam, and the guy told him that his dad was always the first to know when shit was going to go down. Not necessarily the creepiest thing in the history of Reddit, but it had me spooked for a while. Why would I think it would be a good idea to go to this thread before sleep? There was a really creepy thread with this daycare building that was super sketchy and people went really deep into it and it was all fucked up. Sorry I don't remember better, I just took my pain medication and I'm a little foggy. It was a fucking normal daycare, but everyone blew it out of proportion with stupid shit like when I deliver pizza there, everyone is always sleeping. Well no fucking shit, it's a daycare. It got blown so out of proportion, with shitheads staring at the daycare through the windows, that the staff had to call the police. I don't remember where I found this post, but it has haunted me for quite some time. A woman on a road trip, stopped for the night at one of those roadside crappy motels. The room was filthy so she slept in her car that night. In the middle of the night, she wakes up to see the front desk guy opening her room with a key, and another coming out of her room. They ran to her car looking for her and assumed she was at the cafe across the street. While they were crossing the street, she took off in her car. Reported it to the police, but all they said was that motel had been closed for months. I am a rapist AMA. Disclaimer, I am not a rapist, but you can still AMA. What's it like to not rape someone yet? Can't seem to find the link, it was on an off-machist-like sub. This guy cyberbullied this fat girl from school, who was bullied daily. She killed herself that very day, and the guy, who seemed genuinely destroyed, attended the funeral and had to face her parents, and stuff like this. There was a guy from Brazil I believe, and he found a large sum of money and started getting creepy notes left at his home. He disappeared if I'm thinking correctly. Update, apparently he deleted his Reddit but someone linked one post below. Someone also broke the news it was fake. Sorry frown. What the fuck am I doing in this thread? The story about the woman on r/relationships where she found a hidden camera under the sink, and when she looked through the photos there were multiple ones of her coat hanging up, her keys and her makeup box. They were taken every day and always 3 of the same photo, so 3 of her coat, 3 of her keys, etc. She found it cleaning and was going to confront the husband because he was into photography or something, but never updated. Similarly, the one about the woman who thought her husband was watching her via a secret camera because he kept alluding to things that he wouldn't have known about, like what time she got in, if people dropped round, and things she said on the phone. She never updated either. The time when that /you/Narato posted a confession bear about murdering his sister's abusive boyfriend. The meme said, "My sister had an abusive, meth-addicted boyfriend. I killed him with his own drugs while he was unconscious and they ruled it as an overdose." What about the posts by the normal New Yorker dude who one day decided to buy heroin on his way home, and in the subsequent posts his life totally unraveled and then he disappeared from Reddit? That time when someone in AskReddit asked what the creepiest thing to happen in the history of Reddit, and many of the answers were removed by the mods. That's creepy. It's because those answers were about how the AskReddit mods secretly harvest your answers and sell them to BuzzFeed. This thread is 15 hours old, so this will surely be buried, but I remembered it the other day and this thread is relevant enough. About a year or 2 ago, I saw an /r/AskReddit comment from a guy who said he was kidnapped and driven out into the desert, then murdered the guys that kidnapped him and walked/drove to a safe place. The guy said he was using Tor to admit it. I have literally never seen it mentioned on this site since then, so if anyone has a link/screenshot then I'd love to take a look and reread it to see if it's as interesting as I remember. The details may not be perfectly in line and it's definitely shorter than the original version, but it was one of the most interesting comments I've ever read. r/Trussels. That time when a Redditor got a random Snapchat from someone they didn't know claiming to be watching him from outside their house. The Redditor shared the username with people and everyone started to snap him and he would send creepy replies to everyone. If my memory serves me right, the guy would send random snaps of the guy's house to him just to prove he was outside. /r/creepshots. That behind every nasty comment is an actual human being /catkin. I'm a little late to the party, but I remember this one story of a guy and his friend camping on a lake and throughout the night kept seeing this flashlight on the other side slowly make its way around the lake. They were freaked out, so they went and hid in the woods away from their camp spot, and a guy with a gun came into their campsite and started yelling random things. I think I remember him even shooting randomly into the woods. That story scared the hell out of me. Why would Jenny betray her husband? My second day ever with a Reddit account and I came across this _ Well, probably not as creepy as the other stuff in this thread, but one time I doxed a dude, with his permission. He wanted to see how much information of him was publicly available. I was actually pretty creeped out at myself for a little while after that. Your dysgraphia really isn't showing in your comment history, by the way. Good job. Proud of you. How are you feeling about your exams? Why don't you like Family Guy anymore? Is your ad self-diagnosed or did you go to a therapist? And please don't quit Kisakai. Edited out some stuff that was a bit too personal. I've never heard this many people tell me do me before. But I'm also kinda creeped out by it and it's pretty boring. Do yourselves, you can find out a lot about yourselves, /carrot. The guy who said he would draw Muhammad every day all last year suddenly stopped in the middle of it, apologized and said he had to stop because someone at some company didn't like what he was doing. Then he went full edgelord and posted a really offensive drawing, and the guy hasn't been heard from since. Hope he's alright. There was also an older post from a then regular user living in the Middle East, saying he received a death threat in the form of a ransom note, and 3 bullets. One for each member of his family apparently. He never updated past that, but I also hope he's alright frown. The military guy and his buddy who were adventuring in rural Oregon. They come across a large orange picnic bench and then a tent with women's clothing strewn around it. When they try to leave, a car comes up and tries blocking them in. They call the police, and by the time the cops get on site, everything is gone. Does anyone remember that Lake City Quiet Pills conspiracy? I thought it'd show up on one of these creepy Reddit threads. It was the first Reddit mystery. One of those "what creepy/unexplained thing had happened to you" threads from 3 weeks ago takes my top vote. I can't find the comment on the thread anymore, but there was a guy who went to the beach with his then girlfriend and met a demon with a specific car and license plate, and said the next time they met he'd have X car with X plate. Several people started digging through records in California, and found that the plate described belonged to the same color/model car. /r/jailbait. I take the riskiest clicks, but I will not be taking that one. That subreddit is banned, so no worries. I just saw this question asked the other day and there were a lot of creepy responses. Well, then tell us what the question was. Their CEO stating, "We know your darkest secrets. And making money of that. I am pretty sure most of the stalkers that are referenced are fake. I just read most of them and they are way too well written, and the posts lean towards giving everyone exactly what they would want to hear to be downvoted or talked about. /you/Daryl Pratt and you/LostKiss Blame Offman. I am 98% sure are just trying to get everyone's jimmies riled up, and I am going to do my best to prove this since this comment is getting buried." In a thread about who you were surprised about still being alive, someone mentions Harper Lee. She died 2 hours later. Liked what you saw? Hit like, subscribe and the bell icon for more crazy Reddit content.